Hi, fourth graders. This is your language arts learning lesson for Monday, May 4th. We're going to start taking a look at grammar, a review of subject pronouns. That's page 216, subject pronouns. Okay, we begin Unit 6 review. And it says, you know that a noun names a person, place, or a thing. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. A subject pronoun takes the place of a noun as the subject of a sentence. So in your examples here, Carl watches the swimmers. So here we have that proper noun. Carl watches the swimmers, but then now it's replaced with the subject pronoun he. He watches the swimmers. Rope divides the lanes. It divides the lanes. Jean and Susan practice. They practice. Remember that subject pronouns also follow forms of the linking verb be. The lifeguard today is he. Yesterday, the lifeguards were Tara and I. So they're showing you that, yes, we do use the subject pronouns as the subject of a sentence, but those subject pronouns can also be used after the linking verb be. Am, is, are, was, and were. Okay, so your subject pronouns, the singular forms I, you, he, she, it, and the plural pronouns we, you, they. Also, just one other thing before we take a look at replacing some of these nouns with subject pronouns is that when you are using pronouns in your own writing, you should never be using a pronoun until after you have named who or what it is that you're talking about, so that the noun should already be used and then you use the pronoun. That's why you don't just start a sentence. You wouldn't just say he watches the swimmers because we don't know who he is. If you said Carl watches the swimmers, he keeps track of their times, that's acceptable because now the he is referring back to Carl, and so we know who you're talking about. But do not write sentences where you're using your subject pronoun without having used a noun. Now, when does this happen? I often see this when you are writing written responses, for example, with your reading questions. Okay, the person's name or an event or something has been mentioned in the question, and then your answer simply says, she did this, okay, or he did that. No, okay, that is not the question that was written is not part of your response. So until you have made that noun a part of your response, you do not use the pronoun. Remember, pronouns are used in place of nouns, but after the noun has already been given. Okay, so I'm seeing that a lot lately, and that's not how you give responses. Okay, your question should, the answer to your question should begin with the noun, not with the pronoun. You use the pronoun after the noun has been named and you want to say something further. For example, if we look at these examples here, rope divides the lane. It goes from one end of the pool to the other. Well, now that I've mentioned the rope, it's okay to use it because I know it now is referring to the rope. This is especially important when you have, let's say, two things about maybe a female in a question, and I'll use the example from fever, and let's just say it asks something like, what did Maddie's mother say about Maddie going to Polly's family? Okay, what did Mrs. Cook say to Maddie about going to visit Polly's family after Polly had died? Well, for you to say she da-da-da, well, who is she? First of all, you have Mrs. Cook mentioned, you have Maddie mentioned, you have Polly's family mentioned. So who is she? Okay, which she are you talking about? If you were to say, Mrs. Cook told Maddie that, and then to say, she could not go because, all right, well, now it's clear. We're talking about Mrs. Cook. She said something to Maddie. What did she tell Maddie? Okay, she couldn't go. Okay, now we know that she is referring to Maddie because of how you started your response. So please, this is really very important. Okay, they're giving you just some simple examples here of how the pronoun replaces the noun, but it doesn't mean that you are to use this on their own. Okay, you don't use subject pronouns on their own. They get used as a follow-up to the noun. So please make sure that that's what you're doing in your writing. Okay, this is really very important. That's one way to make sure that you're clarifying what it is you are saying in your writing and who or what you are talking about. Okay, so this is a perfect time to remind you of this, of your writing in this lesson. Okay, so let's just continue here where it says about the subject pronouns for also following the linking verb be. As we said, it's the forms of be, and if you remember, the forms of be are am, is, are, was, and were. So the lifeguard today is he. We're using that subject pronoun here, and yesterday the lifeguards were Tara and I. We're using the I here even though it's a subject pronoun. The singular subject pronouns I, you, he, she, it. The plural subject pronouns we, you, and they. Remember, you is the same because you can refer to one or more than one. All right, and then down at the bottom, just quickly we'll take a look at that try it out section. What subject pronouns could replace the underlined words? So we have Leo and Emily cooked. So using a subject pronoun for Leo and Emily, we would say they cooked. Leo bought the fruit. Obviously, we would replace Leo with he bought the fruit. Emily served egg rolls. She served egg rolls. The chicken was broiled. It was broiled. Bill and I ate the most. We ate the most. The dishwashers were Kieran and Pa. The dishwashers were Kieran and he. We use he because it comes after were. Am, is, are, was, were. Now again, they've given some very simple sentences here, and they just wanted you to simply replace the subject noun with a subject pronoun. But that is just an exercise to make sure that you understand which subject pronouns you would use in place of the noun. It doesn't mean that this is how you would write a standalone sentence. Okay? All right, now today I want you to go to page 236. You'll be working on page 236. The first section, it says to copy these sentences and then underline the subject pronouns. You simply need to write the subject pronoun that's used in each of those sentences. It's not necessary for you to write the sentences. In the middle, the same thing. It says to write these sentences. Use subject pronouns to replace the underlined words. No, you may just give me the subject pronoun that you would use. You don't need to rewrite the sentences. And then down at the bottom, it says to write these sentences and use subject pronouns to fill in the blanks. Again, you may just write the subject pronouns that you would use. Okay? Down at the bottom, you'll find that there are a few of them where there's more than one correct answer. Okay? All right, so that's page 238. You are completing the whole page, numbers 1 to 15, but it's not necessary for you to write any of the sentences. Just simply write the correct pronoun answer. Okay? All right, don't forget, today you have spelling pretest for lesson 28, words that ends with the sound. So that's lesson 28. You take a practice test, use that as a pretest. Okay, you also have Wordly Wise 14E today. Wordly Wise 14E, how water lilies began. Okay, so please, again, when you're answering your questions here, you need to be writing in complete sentences. If a vocabulary word was not used in the question, you must use one in the answer. And again, make sure that anytime you write a response, whether it's an answer here in Wordly Wise, in science, in social studies, in literature. You make sure that you answer the question as though I don't have the question right in front of me. That means giving the details that are necessary for a good response. And that also includes using the nouns in the sentence and not the pronoun until after the noun has already been given. Okay, and then other than that, you have fever today. You're reading chapter 25. So it's 25 in fever. Make sure you're answering those questions in complete sentences as well. And then, of course, spend some time on AR because you do want to get your points in. If you have questions on anything that you're doing today, you need help, please make sure you reach out to me so that I can help you out. Okay, have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.